but maybe we'll build something stronger in the ruins." His voice was a low murmur, almost conspiratorial. She hesitated, feeling the magnetic pull of his energy, the desperate need for connection. "So we're in this together then?" "Yes, together." He leaned closer, their foreheads nearly touching, breaths mingling in the charged air. "Fine," she said, a teasing smile breaking through her stern facade. "But if we get caught, I'm blaming you. You have a history of poor decisions. Only the good ones involve you," Ayo replied, a mischievous glint in his eyes. With tension spiraling into something deeper and more profound, Khalilah realized that amidst the chaos, her life had never felt so vibrantly alive. What they had was fragile, yet strikingly beautiful, a connection that deepened with every beat of their hearts. Scene 94, Bold Moves. The dimly lit back room of the gallery hummed with whispered conversations, the scent of rich mahogany mingling with the faint notes of jasmine from the floral arrangements. Raye leaned against the polished surface of a long table, her heart racing as she faced Ayo Kanala, his silhouette cutting a striking figure against the soft glow of the overhead lights. "You really think you can just walk away from this?" Ayo's voice was low, but laced with a mix of challenge and intrigue, his eyes sparkling with a playful defiance that both excited and unnerved her. Khalilah allowed a moment of silence to hang in the air, her jaw clenched. "What's the alternative? I stay in your shadow forever, letting you fight my battles?" Her tone was firm, yet the hint of vulnerability beneath it was unmistakable. Ayo tilted his head slightly, his brow arching in amusement. "I'm not fighting your battles, Khalilah. You are strong enough to take this on. You just don't want to admit it." "Strong?" Khalilah stepped closer, the wood grain beneath her fingers cool and solid. "You mean stubborn. There's a difference." Her voice wavered ever so slightly, revealing the deeper layers of her bravado. Ayo's features softened for the briefest of moments before his mischievous smile returned. "And here I thought stubbornness was one of your finest qualities." Khalilah let out a sharp laugh, but it quickly turned into a sigh. "Let's not pretend that's a compliment. You love it when I'm toe-to-toe with you. I'm just tired of this endless dance." His demeanor shifted, the teasing glimmer replacing with intensity. "Then let's change the music." Stepping closer, Ayo's hand brushed hers, a feather-light touch that sent a shiver racing up her arm. "Show me how you want to lead." Khalilah swallowed hard, her heart pounding in her chest. "You want to know if I'll keep going after what I want? Yes, I will. This us is not something I intend to ignore." Her gaze locked onto his. "Then show me." A challenge flickered in his intense eyes, urging her forward. Khalilah clenched her fists, feeling the weight of his expectations, the simmering tension between them thickening the air around her. "Okay," she said, a sudden confidence injecting itself into her voice. "But I want more than this back and forth. I want honesty. Ayo, not just from you, but from me too." "Honesty?" Ayo's demeanor shifted as he leaned slightly closer, the space between them charged. "You're the last person I'd ever expect to play coy, Khalilah. No games, Ayo. I'm tired of pretending I'm not falling for you." Her voice softened, the strength of her proclamation warring with her vulnerability. She stepped closer, daring herself to close the gap. Ayo's breath caught at her words, his expression softening. "What if we both fall and then what? We figure it out." Khalilah reached up, her fingers grazing the side of his neck, tracing the line of his jaw. Their breaths mingled, a palpable current swirling around them, igniting the spark that had simmered for so long. Without any further preamble, Ayo's arms wrapped around her waist, drawing her nearer as he dipped his head, capturing her lips with a fervor that startled her. The kiss was both electrifying and tender, deepening as their passion surged, the outside world dissolving around them. Khalilah melted into him, her thoughts swirling away like mist. This was the freedom she craved, the daring. She pulled back slightly, her forehead resting against his as they both breathed heavily. "This is just the beginning, Ayo." "Good. I hate endings." His voice was barely above a whisper, but the promise in his tone echoed with certainty. Khalilah held his gaze, her heart racing with hope and newfound determination. "Then I guess we'll need to keep moving forward." "Together?" Ayo's question held both weight and possibility, a gateway to the world they had barely begun to navigate. "Together," she affirmed, the warmth of their connection radiating through the air. igniting an uncharted path before them. And in that moment, Khalilah knew she'd made her bold move, defying the shadows of doubt that had kept her in check for too long. Scene 95. A decision to make. The soft rhythm of rain tapped against the large bay windows of Khalilah's office, a symphony of chaos mirroring the tumult within her heart. She stood at the window, staring out into a world drenched in gray, the weight of the decision pressing down on her like a heavy coat. A glass of lukewarm white wine sat abandoned on her desk, a frail remnant of moments spent in thoughtful reflection. Khalilah's fingers curled around the edge of the desk, its cool surface grounding her. A low, deep voice broke through the silence. "You can't keep avoiding the truth, Khalilah." She turned, her heart leaping at the sight of Ayo. He stood in her doorway, tall and imposing, as if he'd stepped out of one of her long-forgotten dreams. Not just handsome, but compelling in his magnetism, drawing her closer even amid the storm of emotions swirling between them. "What do you want, Ayo?" Her voice was steadier than she felt, laced with both resentment and longing. He stepped inside, closing the door with a quiet finality. "I want you to see that there's more to this," he said, gesturing between them, "more than just an assignment." His deep brown eyes searched hers, seeking connection beneath the surface of her defenses. Khalilah crossed her arms defensively. "More? Like what? The danger? The lies?" She took a step back, the scent of cedar in the air a reminder of his presence, enveloping her like a warm embrace. "You think I want to dive into the chaos you represent?" Ayo's expression softened, revealing the flicker of vulnerability she had never expected to see. "What if this chaos is the only thing keeping you alive? What if it's what you need?" "Need," she echoed incredulously, her voice tinged with sharp disbelief. "I need stability, Ayo, a life that doesn't revolve around the threats lurking behind every corner." She was trembling now, though she wasn't sure if it was fear or anger that ignited her pulse. "You know my past, the mess I've just crawled out of." He took a deliberate step closer, the air thick with tension. "Khalilah, you're not a mistake. You've clawed your way up, don't diminish your strength. But let me show you how to embrace your desires without fear of falling." "Desires?" she scoffed, but her pulse raced at the thought. "Is that what you call this entangling mess?" Their eyes locked, and in that intense moment, a flicker of something deeper sparked between them, something both terrifying and intoxicating. He closed the distance, his presence pulling her in, his warmth seeping through the walls she had built. "Yes," he whispered, his voice low, carrying weight. "Desires can lead to beauty if you let them. You have much to offer beyond your career, Khalilah. I see you, truly see you." She looked away, trying to steady her breath, but each word felt like a thread unraveling a carefully woven tapestry. "You don't understand. I'm lost. My name has been synonymous with failure lately." Her voice broke, a sudden vulnerability spilling forth. "I can't go further into this world without losing myself again." His hand found hers, fingers brushing lightly against her palm, igniting an electric spark that sent shivers coursing through her body. "You won't lose yourself with me, I promise," he declared, his grip firm yet tender, an anchor amid the tumult. A pulse of jealousy surged within, her breath hitching as she remembered the circles he moved in, the dangerous dance of trust she was being asked to enter. "And what if I do trust? What if I fall hard? Then I'll catch you." He leaned in closer, their breaths mingling, heat enveloping them. "I'll always catch you." She hesitated, the rain a backdrop for the storm within. In that moment, everything shifted, the chaos fading just enough for her to see the possibility of clarity. "Ayo." The door swung open, interrupting her thought, and in walked her friend Mia, oblivious to the charged atmosphere. "Oh, sorry, didn't mean to. If this is a bad time, I can come back." "No, Mia, stay." Khalilah's eyes remained locked on Ayo for a heartbeat longer, her mind racing. She needed guidance, too much hung in the balance. Mia scowled, sensing the tension but diving in headfirst. "What are you two plotting? Should I call the police, or does this involve stolen art?" She grinned, her playful sarcasm lightening the air. Khalilah forced a smile, but her insides swirled. Did she really want to pull away from Ayo's magnetic pull? As laughter erupted at Mia's quip, Khalilah felt a flicker of possibility in the air. She just might have the courage to leap, but only if she dared to embrace Ayo and the risky reality he represented. Maybe it's not about the art, she murmured under her breath, the realization dawning on her that the biggest decision she faced was about to unfold. Is that a yes? Ayo whispered, urgency threading through his tone, a hope blooming in his eyes. Let's just say. Khalilah paused, savoring the moment just a heartbeat longer. I'm thinking about taking a leap, but no promises. And for the first time in a long while, that wasn't a fear she faced, but an exhilarating thrill. Scene 96. Confronting Ayo. As the sun began its slow descent beyond the horizon, casting hues of amber and rose over the lavish sitting room, Raye meticulously arranged a bouquet of vibrant orchids, a task that felt wholly mundane against the whirlwind of thoughts crashing inside her mind. The sweet, tropical scent filled the air, deceptively serene. She couldn't shake the urgency pressing against her chest, an unsettling amalgam of frustration and yearning. Ayo Kanala leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, his tall silhouette stark against the glowing light. His presence was both reassuring and oppressive, as if he alone could tip the delicate balance of her composure. I thought we'd agreed on the flowers, Ayo, Khalilah said, her fingers deftly adjusting the blooms, but her eyes fixed on him, willing him to speak, yet fearing what would leave his lips. Orchids represent strength, he murmured, stepping further into the room, his voice deep and smooth like dark velvet. There's a hint of a smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth, but Khalilah's heart was too heavy with unvoiced questions to appreciate it. They also symbolize beauty and refinement, she countered, dropping the last stem into place and finally meeting his gaze. But strength isn't what I need to talk about today. Then what do you need, Khalilah? The honesty in his eyes sent a shudder through her. It felt like both a challenge and an invitation. She took a deep breath. I need to know why your past looms so large over us. You act like you're some kind of guardian angel, but I can't shake the feeling that there's a darker truth wrapped in all your secrets. The air thickened with an undercurrent of tension. Ayo shifted, his brow furrowing ever so slightly. You think I'm hiding something? Maybe hiding is too strong a word, she replied, her voice wavering, arms crossing defensively against herself. But you're not being entirely truthful. Can't you see that? Every time I catch a glimpse of your world, it's like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff and I'm terrified of falling. A long silence stretched between them, filled with nothing but the low hum of the fading day. Ayo stepped closer, the plush carpet muffling his footsteps. What if I told you that my truth is much darker than you could ever imagine? Would you still want to build something with me? Yes, she said without hesitation, her heart racing. I still want to know you. He frowned, eyes narrowing into dark pools of concern. Khalilah, you don't know what you're asking. Then make me understand, she pleaded, fierce determination shining in her gaze. I can handle it. Just don't keep taking me in and then pushing me away. The weight of her statement hung in the air. Ayo's expression softened, revealing the layers of struggle beneath his facade. I promise I don't want to push you away, but the more you know, the more dangerous it becomes for you. Dangerous? She echoed, laugh tinged with dark irony. Do you know what's dangerous? Living in the shadow of your secrets. Ayo's eyes darkened, and for a moment she felt a rush of fear. You don't know what shadows lurk behind me. Then let me in, or are you too afraid of what I'll find? She challenged, stepping within inches of him, the tension crackling like static in the air. Silence enveloped them again, the weight of unyielded words pressing against their hearts. What do you want from me, Khalilah? The rawness of his question made her pulse quicken. You think I want saving? Just tell me you're here for the long haul. No more mysteries, just Ayo. He lowered his head, releasing a heavy breath. I'll always be here for you. Then don't make me your charity case, she said softly, heart racing. I'm not interested in being saved. I want to grow together. Finally, he cupped her face in his hand, warm and firm. Growing together? That has to mean tackling the sunlight and the shadows equally. For every secret, there's a way it can bring us closer. With that, Ayo leaned in, the warmth of his breath mingling with hers, a soft, lingering moment suspended in time. She closed her eyes, allowing herself to lean into his solid presence, one rooted in the chaos surrounding them. Then let's face them together, he whispered against her lips, his voice a rich caress. No more secrets. And in that fragile promise, they found not only strength but an unbridled hope for the future, one where love thrived amid the darkness, their journey just beginning. Scene 97. Echoes of pain. The rain pattered against the window like the steady beating of a heart, each drop a reminder of the emotional storm raging inside Khalilah. The cozy warmth of Ayo's living room stood in stark contrast to the tumult outside. Rich mahogany furniture reflected the soft glow from the brass lamps, illuminating the overwhelming chaos of her thoughts. Between them lay a growing space, too vast and too intimate for her liking, as the scent of cedar wood mingled with fresh coffee and an undertone of something more earthy, a blending of their worlds. Khalilah stared at the steaming mug in her hands, the warmth enveloping her fingers, though it did little to chase away the chill that settled deep within her. Across the room, Ayo leaned against the mantel, an imposing silhouette against the ambient firelight. He looked every bit the protector he was, yet something about him seemed remote, distant even, guarded behind the walls of his own making. "Beautiful night, isn't it?" he said, his voice lowering, offering a reprieve from silence but sending an echoing pang through her chest. "Sure," she replied, barely meeting his gaze, her mind weighing against the weight of unsaid anguish. "If you like storms." A smirk tugged at Ayo's lips as he shifted closer, his dark eyes locking onto hers with a blend of mischief and intensity. "Doesn't that just make the thunder more romantic? More dramatic?" The last word hung between them like a challenge. "I don't know about romantic," she said, her voice wavering. "I think storms are more chaotic. It's unpredictable." She took a shallow breath, her heart pounding like the rain that fell. Like life. Ayo's expression softened as he approached her, those broad shoulders relaxing slightly as he set his own mug down on the coffee table. "You're right. Life is chaos. You can plan all you want and it still derails." Khalilah felt her throat tighten with unshed feelings. "Sometimes it feels like it's all too much." The admission slipped out before she could stop it. "Tell me," he urged, stepping closer, their proximity sparking a fire she couldn't ignore. "What's too much?" Khalilah's heart raced with vulnerability as he drew nearer. But it's not just the mere attraction, it's the swirling memories of her past that threaten to surface. I'm stuck, Ayo. My career feels unfulfilling, and this." She gestured between them, the air electric with tension. "It confuses me." Ayo's shadow drew closer, enveloping her warmth beneath it. "You're at a crossroads. That's just part of living. We've had different paths, but that doesn't mean yours can't be beautiful." "Beautiful? Have you seen my life? Everything is a disaster," she exclaimed, her hands gesturing wildly, caught somewhere between frustration and fear. "I thought you had it all figured out. You're a crime boss, for heaven's sake." "A successful crime boss," he corrected, injecting humor with a slight twist of his mouth. "Not a disaster. Besides, I'm saving you from being so dramatic. That's my specialty." Khalilah laughed, the sound a bright note amid the dark rain. Her fear momentarily dissipated. "Right, Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome, here to rescue me from my own melodrama." "It's a tough gig." Ayo stepped into her personal space now, the shadows cast by the fire dancing across his warm brown skin. "But I think I can manage it." She swallowed hard, feeling the intensity of his gaze as he leaned closer, drifting on the edge of something unseen. "Even if your world feels chaotic, how can I trust you?" "Look at me," he said, his expression turning serious. "You're the only piece of light I see through this darkness. You matter to me, Khalilah. That's not melodrama. That's reality." Her pulse quickened, and she dared to grasp the thread of connection between them, but the weight of past traumas began to seep through the cracks, echoes of pain that pressed against her heart. "And if—" She hesitated, the thought heavy. "What if I let you in? What if I still can't handle what you're hiding?" Ayo reached forward, his fingers gently brushing against her cheek, igniting something deeper. "Then we'll face it together. Not as a crime boss and a profile, but as two people broken but willing to heal." The world outside faded, the rain replaced by something softer, something hopeful. Their eyes locked, the air thick with a longing that vibrated in the spaces between breaths. She dared to lean closer, letting the distinctive scent of cedar surround her as she sought solace in his presence. Khalilah whispered, "I'm afraid." "Of what? Of me?" Ayo's voice was a low, soothing rumble, of everything, of falling, of losing control, of trusting again. Then we'll take it slow, one storm at a time. He leaned in further, bringing her face into his hands. But promise me this, don't let the storms drown you. Let them be a backdrop for our story. She closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of his lips, soft, inviting, yet fiercely deliberate as they hovered inches away. The rain outside echoed their shared pain and tentative hope, but as their foreheads touched, she felt a flicker of light ignite, a promise of something beautiful amid the chaos, a whisper against the thunder, perhaps, that love could conquer all. Scene 98. Silent Promises. The sun dipped low over the skyline, casting a warm bronze hue that accentuated the silhouettes of the towering buildings. Ayo Kanala stood on the balcony of his high-rise penthouse, the crisp evening air carrying the scent of jasmine and freshly brewed coffee from inside. The city buzzed below, a whirl of life and laughter. For a moment, he felt a nagging distance between that vibrant chaos and the heavy weight of his thoughts. He turned to glance at Khalilah, who was perched on the balustrade, her silhouette bathed in golden light. You know, statistically speaking, this is the best time of day to be proposed to, she said, a teasing smile dancing across her lips as she looked up at him. Is that so? Ayo replied, his brow arching in playful skepticism. And what's the date of this statistical breakthrough? A journal article I can read? Very funny, she chuckled, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her dark curls shimmering in the soft glow. But I'll have you know that the ending of the day inspires sentimentality, perfect for romantic gestures. His heart raced slightly, not quite from her words, but from the unexpected vulnerability swirling in her deep hazel eyes, which seemed to search for something just beyond his guarded exterior. Is that what you want? A romantic gesture? If you ask me that again, you might put the statistic at risk, she replied, a mischievous glimmer in her eyes. Because then I'd have to look away. Looking away might be the worst decision you make, Ayo warned gently, stepping closer, his voice low but not menacing. Their playful banter, sharp and light, held a deeper current, one that swirled around unspoken fears and promises waiting to be made. And what if I look right at you? Khalilah challenged, her heart pounding in sync with the city's pulse, as if to test the very foundation of their connection. What then? Ayo closed the distance, now standing just a breath apart. The air between them crackled with a kind of tension that was tangible, a mixture of unfiltered admiration and the shadows of the roles they played in each other's lives. Then I'd have to show you the truth behind the statistics. He reached out, the rough edge of his thumb brushing along the back of her hand, tracing her fingers lightly like someone sketching a moment in time. Khalilah inhaled sharply, her pulse quickening as sensation rippled through her. You make it sound risky. Love has always been risky. Ayo leaned in closer, his voice barely above a whisper, where their own secrets breathed in the quiet. But I believe it's worth every fall. The ache in her chest tightened. Then why do I feel like I'm dancing on the edge of a knife? Because we both know there's danger lurking in the shadows. He hesitated, his expression softening. But it's what we do with that danger that matters, you know? Are you saying we trust each other? She searched for sincerity in his eyes, the depth of his gaze stirring an unexpected warmth that made her forget the world outside. Trust feels less like a choice and more like a promise, Ayo replied, his tone serious now, the hint of a smile fading as the weight of their revelations sank in. One I intend to keep. Khalilah, emboldened by the shift, took a step closer, her breath mingling with his as the air between them simmered with unconfessed desires. Then Ayo. She felt the gravity of this moment urging her to take a leap. What do you promise me? Protection from the chaos, first and foremost, he answered, the light returning to his features as he exhaled with relief, and a chance to build something real. And the other promises? She pushed, capturing his gaze once more, the silent challenge lingering like a lingering melody. He could feel it, the rush of connection, the intensity of unsaid dreams, painting a future that was both daunting and beautiful. Silently, I promise you a choice, an adventure that is ours alone, with all the risks and rewards. As they stood on that balcony, time slowed, leaving only the promise of their lives entwined. Khalilah reached up, brushing her fingers along his cheek, her expression softening. Then let us navigate this chaos together. Agreed, Ayo murmured, the weight of the world momentarily forgotten as he leaned in. Their lips almost touched, the warmth of their breaths mingling, when a loud crash echoed from the street below, breaking the spell. "What was that?" Khalilah exclaimed, pulling back with wide eyes. "Just when our moment was getting good," Ayo said with a grin, a glimmer of mischief returning. "I swear, if it's an espresso machine getting dropped again, I'm going to write a strongly worded letter to the city." Khalilah laughed, tension easing as the laughter rolled between them, creating a new connection and forging unbreakable promises for a future still spinning with uncertainty. "As long as I get to make the complaints noted." "Deal," Ayo replied, "but only after I protect you from the danger of bad coffee." They shared a conspiratorial smile, hearts emboldened as the fire of hope flickered brightly in the fading light. Scene 99, Unveiling Secrets. The rain lashed against the penthouse windows, the rhythm lighting up the mood within the dimly lit room. Ayo strode across the rich mahogany floor, the polished surface reflecting the flickering candlelight and shadows that danced with anticipation. Khalilah stood near the window, her silhouette framed against the downpour, a fierce expression etched across her delicate features. "What's the real reason you keep all of this hidden?" Khalilah asked, her voice steady despite the disarray in her heart. The tempest outside mirrored the storm brewing inside her, punctuating each word with an electric tension. Turning to her, Ayo's deep-set eyes glinted with an intensity that could outshine the city skyline. "You think I want this life?" He shot back, the weight of the accusation hanging in the air like the thick humidity before a summer storm. "You think power comes without a cost?" She stepped closer, drawn in by the gravity of his presence. "Is that why you keep me in the dark? Protecting me or guarding yourself?" Ayo exhaled sharply, raking a hand through his tousled hair. "Khalilah, this isn't just about me. There are forces at play here that go beyond our little tete-a-tete." He paused, taking a step toward her, that familiar, intoxicating scent of cedar and spice enveloping her senses, unmooring her convictions. "I didn't come here to be part of your criminal empire," she said, her tone clipped but earnest. "I came to do a job to understand the man behind the facade." "The facade doesn't exist merely to protect me," he countered, his voice lowering to a whisper, wrapping around her like a soft blanket. "It exists to protect you too." She wanted to argue, to shove back the worry seeping into her resolve. Instead, she felt the familiar pull, the magnetic force that had ignited between them from the very beginning. It was a dance, one where they moved just out of reach of each other, yet it was captivating enough to draw them involuntarily together. "Do you think you can just whisk me away from reality?" she challenged, but there was a waver in her tone, a crack forming in her armor. The storm outside struck a piece of raw thunder, the sound reverberating in her bones. Ayo stepped closer, inches apart now, the heat radiating from him, drawing a breath she didn't know she was holding. "I can't promise safety, Khalilah, but I can promise you honesty." "Honesty?" she scoffed, although there was a glimmer of hope dancing in her eyes, mingling with fear. "You're a crime boss, Ayo. Your life is built on shadows and whispers, and I'm offering you a place in the light," he said, his voice steadier now, revealing the raw, sincere core hidden beneath the bravado. "Except you have to trust me. Really trust me." Khalilah took a measured step back, the cool air of doubt rushing in. "Trust is earned, Ayo. It doesn't just materialize because you have charm and a dashing smile." The last word held a teasing tilt, unwittingly exposing the flicker of affection deep within her. He chuckled softly, a rich, grounding sound that cut through the thick tension. "Dashing, huh? I'll have to add that to my resume." His sarcasm was an anchor in the tumultuous sea of their conversation. "Yeah, right next to crime boss and occasional heartthrob," she threw back, a small smile breaking through her stern demeanor. But the laughter faded, both of them reminded of the stakes. Ayo's expression shifted, the weight of their conversation returning. "You do realize, don't you, that this world doesn't let you walk away easily?" Khalilah's heart raced, and the air thickened between them, charged with unspoken feelings. "If that's the case, what will you do when the time comes for me to choose?" "I will fight for you," Ayo said, his voice rich with fervor. He moved even closer, their breaths mingling, and she could feel her pulse quicken. Don't say things you don't mean, Khalilah replied, her voice a mere whisper. She could hear the threads of vulnerability woven into her words, a tender unraveling she hadn't planned to expose. In this life, I mean every word, he murmured, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that set the world ablaze. The flicker of candlelight reflected in his gaze, igniting a fire of passion and purpose that pulled her toward him with an irresistible draw. Suddenly, the city's cacophony became an indistinct backdrop, and all that remained was the pulse of the moment, the intimacy of two souls standing on the threshold of discovery. "What are we doing?" she whispered, the question barely escaping her lips before he reached out, brushing his fingers gently against her arm. "Unveiling the truth," he replied, his touch igniting something deeper. "Together." And as their gazes locked, a tempest of desire danced on the edge, waiting for its moment to bloom. Scene 100, the final straw. A rain-soaked evening settled over the city, each drop drumming on the pavement like the heartbeat of a restless soul. In her cramped but cozy apartment, Khalilah Raye was caught in the web of her thoughts, the curtain of soft raindrops providing a rhythmic backdrop to her uneasy reverie. She had spent the day crafting the profile of Ayo Kanala, a man whose life was as colorful as the neon lights splashing against her window. The weight of every word she had chosen for the profile lingered in the air, electric and charged. She inhaled the comforting scent of brewed chai, letting it swirl around her like a warm embrace. The aroma was a soothing balm, yet it didn't quell the anxiety writhing at the pit of her stomach. Just as she set down her mug, the soft, deliberate knock on her door startled her. "Ayo?" she called, her voice barely above a whisper, surprised at the sudden rush of hope that filled her. The door swung open, and Ayo stood drenched from the rain, his dark hair falling in disarray around his face, his clothes clinging to his muscular frame. The sight sent a thrill through her, but the storm clouds behind his deep-set eyes hinted at trouble brewing beneath his calm exterior. "Hey," he said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. The shiver of cold, wet air was quickly replaced with the warm, inviting scent of her apartment. "What's wrong?" Khalilah asked, closing the door and moving closer as she couldn't help but check him from top to bottom, a wave of concern washing over her. Ayo ran a hand over his face, droplets cascading to the floor. "It's not about me. I need to talk to you." Her heart dropped, sensing the weight of his words. "Just talk?" "Yeah." His tone was heavy. "You need to know about Nathan." At the mention of the name, a flicker of recognition flashed across her face. Nathan was Ayo's old associate, the kind of man who bore shadows within shadows. "What about him?" "Something's come up, and he's made it clear he thinks you're involved." A cold shiver crept up her spine. "Involved? You mean with you?" "More like in the way he would want to use you," Ayo said, his voice low and deliberate. "He's got a long memory and even longer grudges." Khalilah's mind raced as she swallowed past a lump in her throat. "I can handle myself, Ayo." He stepped closer, the air crackling between them. "Khalilah, this isn't a game. I can't lose you too." She searched his eyes, finding a storm of emotion swirling there. Protectiveness mingled with raw vulnerability. "You're not going to lose me. I won't let fear dictate my life." "And yet you were about to turn in a profile about a crime boss." Ayo shot back, a banter masquerading as concern. "Does that seem safe?" "Stop deflecting." She threw her hands up in exasperation. "You're not the only one in this world who knows danger. I know what I'm doing, Ayo. I'm not some damsel to be saved." "Then why does it feel like you are?" he pleaded, anger and frustration buried under a layer of desire that began to electrify the air around them. Their eyes locked, tension spiraling to an almost unbearable pitch. As the rain drummed its steady cadence against the window, Khalilah stepped closer, unable to resist the pull between them. She could feel the warmth radiating from his body, the scent of rain mingling with his cologne, a heady mix that both calmed and ignited her. "Do you trust me?" she asked softly, her heart racing as she reached up to touch his face, brushing back a raindrop-streaked strand of hair. The moment hung between them, thick with meaning. "More than anyone else," he replied, his voice low and sincere, his eyes softening. A shared breath lingered in the air like the promise of a storm breaking, their worlds momentarily colliding in the charged space between them. But before the intimacy could deepen, A crackle of her phone on the table broke the spell, shattering the moment. "Damn it," she muttered, pulling back, her heart sinking as she saw Nathan's name flash on the screen. "This won't end well. Whatever he has to say, you don't have to answer." Ayo's voice was low, yet firmly protective, the energy between them still pulsing, now shadowed by urgency. "Let me handle this my way. I'm done being afraid," she said as her thumb hovered over the screen, resolutely poised to face whatever came next. Ayo simply stood, watching her with an intensity that sent the flutter in her stomach spiraling again, a sense of desperation mingling with power. "Just remember, I've got your back. Always," he declared, the promise heavy with unspoken emotions that intertwined their lives in ways neither could fully grasp. "Always," she echoed, a warmth spreading through her as she finally pressed answer and prepared to confront the looming specter of Nathan's threat, with Ayo firmly at her side. Scene 101, Desperate Measures. The autumn leaves whispered as a gust of wind danced down the narrow alley where Raye stood, arms crossed, her gaze fixed on the heavy wooden door of Ayo Kanala's office. She took a deep breath, inhaling the earthy scent of damp leaves mixed with the faint aroma of fresh coffee wafting from the nearby cafe. The world around her bustled with weekend energy, yet here, in this moment, time seemed to pause, the air thick with unspoken words. "Khalilah," a voice emerged, breaking her reverie. Ayo stepped out from the shadows, his silhouette framed by the warm glow of sunlight behind him. He wore a fitted black shirt that highlighted his strong build, the sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing his defined forearms. There was an intensity in his dark brown eyes that ignited a flutter in her chest. "Hey," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos swirling in her mind. "I thought we could talk." "Talk?" He stepped closer, the warmth from his body reaching her like a comforting blanket. The hint of his cologne, a blend of cedarwood and spice, enveloped her in an intoxicating haze. "This isn't the best time, you know that." "Actually, I think it is," Khalilah countered, her heart pounding like a drum. "You don't have the luxury of deciding what's the best time for me anymore." A pause stretched between them, thick with tension. Ayo's expression shifted, eyebrows knitting together as he processed her words, his voice low and serious. "What do you mean?" She took a step back, frustrated, her gaze an unyielding glare. "I can't just stand by while the shadows of your world suffocate me. I need to protect myself, Ayo. Something bigger is happening. I can feel it." He scoffed softly, a fleeting smile creeping onto his face. "Since when did you become a professional psychic? I didn't know you were taking courses in precognition on top of your day job as an investigative journalist." Khalilah narrowed her eyes, determination hardening her features. "This isn't a joke, Ayo. I've had threats, people watching. What's your plan to keep me safe?" His amusement faded, the weight of her words quickly settling around them. "You should stay away from me," he said, sincerity lacing his tone. "I don't want you dragged into my chaos." "But I'm already in it," she replied, frustration bubbling in her voice. "You're not giving me a choice here." They shared a heated look, breathing in unison as Khalilah pushed a lock of hair behind her ear, a nervous habit she couldn't shake. The crackling tension transformed the moment, shifting into something palpable. Khalilah stepped closer, the air thick around them, desire and danger intertwining like the crimson and gold leaves at their feet. "I won't walk away," she whispered. "I refuse to be just a hidden part of your world while I'm waiting for it to swallow me whole." Ayo watched her closely, the walls around his heart crumbling just a fraction. "You have no idea what you're asking. And you have no idea what I'm capable of," she challenged, an edge of defiance in her voice, her fierce spirit shining through. The silence that followed was laden with implications. Their faces were mere inches apart now, a battlefield of emotions waging war, fear, longing, anger, and something deeper that felt like a promise wrapped in peril. "Then show me," he said, his voice a gravelly murmur that sent shivers down her spine. "Show me you mean those words." In an impulsive rush, Khalilah closed the distance, capturing his lips with hers in a bold kiss. His breath hitched, surprise sparking through him before he reciprocated, drawing her closer, wrapping his arms around her waist. The kiss deepened, slow and sensual, an intoxicating dance of warmth and electricity that ignited a fire they both feared yet craved. Time no longer mattered. The chaos outside faded away as they melted into each other, the world around them dissolving into a blur of colors and warmth. Their lips moved in harmony, expressing the unspoken desires that lay buried beneath disbelief and doubt. The kiss felt like an anchor in the storm, a tether between them as she found solace within his protective grasp. But as they pulled away, breathless and wide-eyed, reality crashed back with stark clarity. Khalilah pressed her forehead to Ayo's, her heart racing. Whatever's coming, we'll face it together. No more secrets. Ayo nodded, searching her eyes, a mixture of admiration and fear reflected there. Together, until your next crisis. Let's hope it's not a chase after a crime boss, she teased lightly, a smirk playing on her lips, though the weight of their situation still hung in the air. A faux serious look crossed Ayo's face, a playful twinkle igniting in his dark eyes. I promise, if there are ever masked villains involved, I'll make popcorn. Khalilah laughed softly, allowing the levity to break through the tension. I'll hold you to that. As they stood there, the shadows of danger loomed, but so did the possibility of love and partnership, where trust could become their strongest weapon. Scene 102. The showdown approaches. The air inside Ayo's discreetly luxurious penthouse was thick with tension, the evening sky a bruised mauve as storm clouds churned ominously overhead. Khalilah adjusted her blouse, the fabric a cool touch against her skin, her heart racing as she glanced at Ayo. He stood with his back to her, silhouetted against the cityscape that sprawled beneath them, the flickering lights of the streets below mirroring the chaotic swirl of emotions tumbling within her. Ayo, you can't keep this from me, she said, her voice steady even as an undercurrent of urgency threaded through it. What are you planning? Ayo turned slowly, his expression a mixture of determination and something softer, more vulnerable. It's not a matter of what I'm planning, but who I'm protecting. He stepped closer, the air between them charged. And that includes you, Khalilah. Khalilah felt her breath catch. In that moment, she was acutely aware of the way his dark eyes searched hers, the distant thunder rumbling outside echoing the tempest building within her. I can handle myself, she insisted, trying to meet his gaze with as much ferocity as she could muster. This isn't just about you, Ayo. I'm not some damsel. His lips quirked up, half smug, half admiring. I never thought of you as one, but this isn't a game. My world, it's dangerous. A chill danced down her spine as she shook her head, caught in the intricacy of their shared moments, the laughter, the late-night conversations that draped them in intimacy. What do you think will happen when this all blows over? That I'll just walk away? Ayo stepped closer still, their proximity awakening a cascade of warmth she longed to dive into, a spark that ignited every unsaid word between them. I can't let you get hurt, not because of me. His voice dipped softer, and for a moment the shadows of stubbornness receded. I've got to do this, Khalilah. Outside, the winds howled, rattling the window panes. Khalilah narrowed her eyes. You think you can just protect everyone by pushing them away? You're wrong. Your isolation won't shield me from what's coming. For a moment, Ayo remained silent, his expression a mask of conflicting emotions, until he stepped forward, his hand brushing against hers, just a fleeting touch, yet charged with unspoken promises. It's not about isolation, it's about choice. My choice for you. Choice? She laughed lightly, a brittle sound filled with irony. What kind of choice is that? I deserve to know everything about your life, your past, everything. He regarded her steadily, unwavering beneath her fierce resolve. And yet the more you know, the more in danger you could be. What good are truths against bullets? Khalilah's heart raced, beating in time with the energy building between them, a dizzying concoction of anger, fear, and undeniable attraction. So is this how you plan to save me? With secrets? No, he replied, determination solidifying in his features as thunder cracked ominously outside. With honesty, the very kind I haven't given you. As he took a step back, the intimacy between them faltered, slipping into the charged atmosphere that felt like a precious stone teetering on the edge of a cliff. They both sensed the urgency increasing, the impending threat hanging like a storm cloud, yet all they could hear were the whispers of desire wrapping around them. Then let's start being honest, she dared, emboldened by a growing fire inside her. What is it that you truly feel, Ayo? The weight of the question hung palpably in the air, charged and electric. Ayo hesitated, his eyes narrowing in contemplation, body tensing as if he was bracing for a collision. I care about you, Khalilah, more than I should. A soft smile tugged at his lips, disbelief mingling with amusement. But in my line of work, we don't play fair. With a sudden swirl of self-doubt and resolve, Khalilah stepped forward. Then teach me how to play to win. Just then, the lights flickered and thunder roared, the storm breaking loose outside. Ayo took her hands in his, the tension and urgency blazing between them, the impending showdown waiting in the wings, an unseen menace just beyond their sheltered moment. Promise me you'll stay close, he murmured, the gravity of the situation rekindling the intensity in his gaze. Only if you promise to let me in, she replied, her heart pounding, each beat laced with both danger and an undeniable longing for the connection they were sidestepping. As the storm raged outside, they stood on the precipice of something transformative. With the city lights flickering like stars in chaos, a single thought loomed large. Sometimes, the fiercest truths ignite in the darkest storms. Scene 103, Fates Intertwined. The dim light of late evening trickled through the large, stained-glass windows of the gallery, casting colorful shadows across the polished wooden floors, echoing the chaos swirling in Khalilah's mind. The rich scent of aged mahogany mixed with hints of art, oils, charcoal, and something uniquely electrifying, reminiscent of Ayo. She stood amidst fragments of her own shattered past, the remnants of broken trust and ambition battling for dominance within her. A few feet away, Ayo leaned against the wall, arms crossed over his chest, his posture a fortress of tension. His dark skin shone like polished ebony under the ambient glow, and his intense gaze, that mix of strength and vulnerability, held Khalilah captive. The sharp angles of his face, illuminated by the warm hues of the Rothko painting behind him, made her heart race. "You don't understand," he said, voice low and steady, as if every word he spoke had the power to either mend or shatter. "I do understand, Ayo," she replied, her voice rising slightly, frustration threading through her tone. "You think you're protecting me, but you're drowning me in mystery. I can't breathe." "Is that what you think?" Ayo interrupted, stepping forward, his eyes narrowing. "That I want to drown you? You're in deeper waters than you know, Khalilah. What I want." He hesitated, the rhythm of his heartbeat palpable in the charged silence between them, "is for you to be safe." Their eyes locked, an exchange palpable and fierce, drawn closer by the magnetic pull of unsaid confessions. Khalilah's breath hitched, awareness of the heartbeat of the moment pressing down on her. She took a step towards him, needing to bridge the emotional chasm that stretched between them. Safe from what? From you? Or from the truth? Ayo's jaw clenched, the tension coiled tightly within him. The truth will come out, but only at the right moment. He advanced, his presence enveloping her, drawing her into his orbit. But if we don't start trusting each other, we won't survive what's coming. A low chuckle erupted behind them. It was Luis, their mutual friend, ending a frantic phone call. "I am walking into a drama that needs popcorn, and I must say, this painting is a metaphor for your lives," he said, gesturing to the abstract art. "Two colors colliding, a bit messy, but—" "Luis, not now," Khalilah snapped, irritation lacing her words. "Right, right." He raised his hands in mock surrender, backing away, but the grin lingered on his face, clearly enjoying the tension. "Just here for the popcorn." As he retreated, Khalilah turned back to Ayo, the air thick with unspoken words. "What if you're wrong, Ayo? What if trust can't be built on shadows? Is that how you see me?" His voice dropped, becoming a low rumble that resonated in her chest. "A shadow. I'm trying to step into the light." He paused, his vulnerability a subtle unraveling of the bravado he wore like armor. "With you." Khalilah took another step closer, feeling the warmth radiating off him like the gentle glow of the gallery lamps. "But you're light. It's complicated, Ayo. You're not just a crime boss, you're a man. You deserve that connection, too." Their breaths mingled, electrifying the air surrounding them. "And what if I find that connection dangerous?" He reached out, brushing the tips of his fingers along her arm, the feeling sending shockwaves of warmth, anticipation flooding her senses. "The stakes are high, Khalilah. What if this, what we are, is the very danger I'm trying to protect you from?" "Or the greatest chance of my life," she countered breathlessly, locking her gaze onto his. The space between them crackled with possibilities. He hesitated, searching her eyes, an uncharted territory of emotions. As silence stretched, the world outside faded away, leaving just the two of them. She saw the storm of conflict within him and wanted to wade deeper, to uncover the man hidden beneath the wary layers of crime and consequence. "I think," he started, his voice softening, "our fates are more intertwined than we realize. And the truth? It might just be the thing that binds us or breaks us." "Then let's find out," she murmured, daring to lean closer, their foreheads nearly touching, breaths mingling in the cool gallery air, each heartbeat echoing promises they both feared to embrace.